Jeff Wilson will be limited. Trent Williams will not practice. Ambry Thomas is full. Garoppolo full. Elijah Mitchell limited. Go ahead.
Hey, Kyle, the other day you were talking a little bit about the emphasis on finishing coming from that Super Bowl and how it's kind of a big deal just in general for all of you guys. I'm wondering for you, how much do you think of the Super Bowl? How much of a motivating factor is it for you? You've had a lot of players who've said, that they think about it quite a bit. Just what has it been for you like over the last couple of years?
Yeah, you always think about that stuff. You go through, just like anybody, when you have big moments in your life, whether it's really good or really bad, those are things that you think about from time to time. But, I was pretty committed when I got in this profession, doing everything you can to have an opportunity to someday win a Super Bowl. Losing those, it's hard to say it makes it stronger because I feel like that's how I started off. But you know how hard it is to get there. I think that's the biggest thing. It's how hard it is to get there, and you just want an opportunity to get there again because you feel if you can get there, you can do it. But I know the road that it takes to get there, and it's not easy. And you're looking for every second you can to get that opportunity again.
Hey, Kyle, I'm sure early on with Debo, you recognize his vision and his running ability. I think you said, I don't want to misinterpret you, but I do think you said, maybe the final piece for you to, saying he can actually do this kind of running back in the backfield was the way he finished off some screens and the violence and the way he attacked defenders. Is that right? And is that maybe for a running back in your offense or for you, just a must-have piece, that willingness to take on contact?
Yeah, I think I don't get how you can make it in this league in general if you're a running back who won't take on contact. It's a matter of time. You can get away with it for a little bit, but if you're worried about the contact as a running back in this league, you're almost on your way out. I think the biggest thing with Debo with the screens and stuff is that's what we saw in college, and it was abnormal how physical he was on them. Even when there was nowhere to go, guys run hard, but when he had nowhere to go, he looked for someone to impose his will on before he finished everything. And that's a guy who's not doing it just because he was asked. That's a guy doing it because he's probably been doing it since he was 5 when his dad gave him the nickname Debo, watching him doing it in the backyard against everybody. So that's just who he is, and it's a lot easier to just hand it to him than throwing screens. And then once we've started doing that to him, the vision that he's shown is the natural vision is kind of opened our playbook up for us and allowed us to do some runs that receivers normally don't do.
George Kittle now has an impressive body of work as far as one-handed catches. I'm just wondering, is that now part of practice at all? Is it something that they just do kind of fooling around at the end of practice, or do guys actually work on that as part of their routine?
I think some guys do. I've seen guys do it, especially watching Odell that one year. He had that infamous one his rookie season. And so I know guys work on it. I'm not a big fan of it. I think when you work on one-handed catches, you train yourself not to run through the ball. And I'm about the mindset that it'll never be a one-handed catch because I'm not going to slow down at all, and I'm going to run through every single ball and make sure I get there. And if that's your mindset on everything, and then you react to a one-handed catch because it has to be that way, that's kind of what I like. But if you sit there and you practice one-handed catches all the time, you're going to attempt a lot of one-handed catches because you're not going to practice running through the ball with the same 40 that you're running with before the ball was in there.
Kyle, my question's about the Trent Williams play where he lined up at fullback and went motion twice. Just when did you guys kind of come up with that idea? How often did you practice it? And then just in general, when you're going to put in a new play like that at this stage of the season, do you have a lot to choose from that you've been working on throughout the year that you're waiting to spring on somebody?
No, we just look at it as the same play that we've been doing for 10 years and just what's one more piece we can add to it. It used to only be juice, and then we added the tight ends, and then we added running backs, and then we added receivers. And Trent mentioned it to me a long time ago, kind of halfway joking. and he was the only guy left, and he's probably the best guy you could imagine ever doing it. I can't believe it's legal. It's scary for me to even watch. But no, we did it once. We did it in a walkthrough the night before we left here. And it's not something that Trent had to practice too much. He had to just time out the motion with the snap count and run full speed through the D gap and clean up whoever shows. And when they showed, they got out of there pretty fast. I mean, I thought it was one of the cooler plays I'd seen just because of who was on it, not because of the play we ran. Go ahead. He had one more. She got to take the mute off. Hold on.
There we go. Did he get hurt on that 3rd and 1 conversion on that? That was like just getting.
I don't think so. I thought he got hurt later in the game on that. Okay. I didn't ask him that, but I know he popped up from it like he wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he did.
Kyle, I'm curious what stood out to you about Eric Armstead over these last 3 weeks in particular, and just maybe beyond that recent stretch, how valuable he's been to the defensive line that's had a lot of moving parts this season.
Oh, I think Eric is never fully appreciated enough. I'm just glad his numbers. He's gotten some numbers, which helps him get appreciated a little bit more. But I don't think people realize how important Eric is to our D line. The physicality he plays with, the fact that we can game plan him and move him to different positions to start certain run plays. I know how much I hate dealing with him in camp. I mean, running the ball at him when he's on our tight ends, and then trying to have a pocket when he's pushing inside, and just how tall he is with his length. So I think Eric, even when he's not big on the stat sheet, like just watching the film and just how he affects a game, to me is so huge. And that's why I think he kind of is a little underappreciated. He doesn't always get the huge numbers and stuff, but when we're rushing as a group well, and you have the presence of him, he ends up getting those numbers eventually, because he is always a problem. And if they're worried about other people, he can get those. But what he does to us, even when the numbers aren't there, or what he does for us, I mean, offenses you can't just not worry about Eric Armstead. You have to have a plan on how you're running the ball versus him, and you definitely have to have a plan how you're throwing the ball.
Coach, through part of your struggles early in the season, George missed a couple of those games, and I'm not sure if it's a coincidence or not, but can you quantify his energy? And obviously playing, we can see what he does, but him in the locker room and the enthusiasm he brings when he's on the field and on the sidelines for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we love George and everything off the field, but what he does the most is on the field. And because the energy that you guys see off, that doesn't help unless you have that same energy on the field. And what's cool is you can see it off the field and on the field. And that's what you miss. Not just the games that George missed hurt, but even when he came back, he wasn't totally himself for a while. He's had to battle through a lot of stuff this year, and I think he's kind of getting there. I think he started to get a little healthier, by the Seattle game and stuff like that. Had a couple setbacks, and now I think in the playoffs, he's, these last 2 weeks, I thought he's gotten healthier than how he finished versus the Rams. So when George is going and feeling good, he's one of the more explosive tight ends in this league. He's got the willingness to block as good as anyone, and when he gets the ball, he can make some plays.
Kyle, over the last few days, a number of your players have shown a lot of social media support for Jimmy Garoppolo. What does that say about him as leader, and how have you seen him grow as a leader since he came here in 2017?
It shows what our guys think of him. And it also shows our guys probably are on social media, because they probably feel a need to stick up for him. So social media probably hasn't been that great. So I'm glad they're sticking up for him, because what they say is the truth. Jimmy is one of the main reasons we're here. He's done an unbelievable job. People don't give him enough credit. We win as a team, and that's why he doesn't always have the same stats as some of these MVP candidates have and stuff. But Jimmy's a very good quarterback, and he doesn't worry about any of that stuff. He doesn't worry about social media. That's why he's a little similar to me. He probably doesn't have as much of an idea as that stuff. And he never really changes. And I think that's what people respect the most about him. He's gone through some ups and downs while he's been here, like most quarterbacks do. But he's the same guy. And that's why people first and foremost respect him as a human, as a person. And then the way that he goes and battles on the field. Everyone knows how tough he is. Everyone knows how hard he'll compete running with the ball. And our guys also know he can throw pretty well too.
Kyle, yesterday Sean McVay was asked if you're in his head, and not going to ask you the clunky question, but do you sort of enjoy that he has to answer that question right now?
Not really. I think I mean, I think it's kind of silly. I mean, I think a question like that is just giving Sean and myself way too much credit. We're coaches. Like, watch what's going on that field and some of the players out there and the people that are competing, and think that it's about Sean and I. I mean, I know he doesn't feel that way, and he knows I don't feel that way. So, I mean, you know, the entertainment of this business is cool and stuff because it brings a lot of fans and brings a lot of money for everybody. But I think that's kind of pretty ridiculous. I don't give coaches that much credit.
We have time for 3 more.
Kyle, yesterday Fred spoke about how DeMeco's been calling blitzes, and when he doesn't call blitzes, and he said that he's been so great at his play calling. How have you seen that develop throughout the season, and where he's choosing to make those moves?
DeMeco has the skill set to be very good. Anybody who's been around him has always known that just since watching him as a player. Then he has the work ethic, he has the people skills, so you know he's always going to get better, and then it just becomes about experience. I mean, you're always, when you're prepared to do it, you go, but I don't care how good you are, you're going to have some good calls, some bad calls, and the people who are good have to have that skill set. They got to be talented, but they also got to learn as they go. And, hey, why didn't I win this? You can't just say, well, the player didn't get it done here. No. Why didn't he get it done? Did we not teach him right? Did you ask the player to do something he couldn't do well? I know we want to win this game this way, but did you see how it changed during the game? And DeMeco is a dude who's not going to sit there and BS himself. He's not a guy that you got to point a lot out to. He's very hard on himself. He's trying to figure it out all the time, and it's only going to get better as he goes through all types of experiences, good and bad. But when you know what you're doing and you're made of the right stuff and you're willing to always work to find the right answer, he's only going to get better, and that's Fred's right on. He's a lot better now than he was at the beginning of the year, and he'll be better next year also.
Hey, Kyle. Gary Klein from the LA Times. Cooper Kupp seems to have taken his game to another level this season. Is that, from where you sit, is that because he's doing something different, or the way they're utilizing him, or both?
Oh, no, he's been pretty good since he got in. So, I mean, football isn't always about taking your game to another level. I mean, it is, but it's also about opportunities too. And, I mean, he's 2 years off an injury, I think. So, he's probably, usually your second year, you're a little bit better than your first year off the injury. But I know how good he was before that, and I know how good he was last year. I think, they're throwing the ball a little bit more. Stafford's, I think, helped him some. But he was pretty dang good when Jared was there too. And also the more experience he has, I mean, everyone knows how smart he is, how talented he is, and he's a guy that as long as his skills aren't diminishing, which they're not, he's only going to get better because to me it's not just his body, it's his mind and how he prepares and kind of his natural feel of the game. And usually the good ones or great ones are like that.
Last one.
Hey, Kyle, how impressive or hard is it to get the kind of and establish the kind of rush defensively you get while also being so formidable stopping the run?
I think it's a fine line. I personally hate going against D lines running the ball that play like ours. It's hard to go against guys who, you're rushing the passer, but it's not just rushing the passer. You're just penetrating every play, which is a lot easier to get to the quarterback when you're penetrating, but you still got to be able to react to the run. And when you can blow up O-linemen, whether you're in the gap or not, sometimes you're knocking them into the gap, and it allows things kind of to define for our linebackers. So it puts a lot of stress on an O-line when you're like that, but you got to have good linebackers who can feel and play off them because those gaps aren't always just set in stone. And I think we have 3 good linebackers who can feel it very well, and I also think our D-line's pretty good.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, thanks.
All right, everybody. We've got Coach here for you. We're ready when you are. We'll start with Branch.
Hey, DeMeco, I wanted to ask you about the 3rd and 11. Maybe I guess it was the Packers' last offensive play when Rodgers threw deep for Devontae. I guess one of my questions was, Hufanga just played 2 snaps. Why was he in on that play? Pretty big play. And also was the fact that, he obviously started closer to the line of scrimmage. Do you have a sense that Rodgers thought Devontae might have been singled up on Dante Johnson on the play?
Yeah, well, Huff is in just because during that time, that's the particular call I wanted with that personnel out on the field. And as for what Rodgers was thinking at the time, I'm not sure. Just happy that worked and we were able to get off the field.
DeMeco, about I guess it would be week 13. It seemed like the pass rush sort of went to a different level over the final 6 games, and then obviously getting 5 sacks in the last 2 playoff games. Just curious if there was something that clicked, if there was a change in emphasis or mindset with the pass rush. I know you guys emphasize it all the time, obviously, but just wondering if there was something specific, and also how much Eric Armstead and his play over that stretch had to do with that.
I think with the pass rush, man, just overall, our guys just continue to get better at working together. So when we work our stunts, our games, just collectively as a unit, guys just continue to get better, and it's just a matter of just getting reps. And we have a lot of new guys we added to our team, and it goes to Sampson and also Arden inside as well. So those guys just had to get more familiar, more comfortable with what we're asking them to do. And I think when they are comfortable, and you see the pass rush just being more effective now.
Miko, wondering about bulletin board material that once upon a time was a big thing in sports in the NFL. I'm wondering if that was anything that you paid attention to when you were a player, whether it's something you utilize or you see the players utilizing now, or is it something from a kind of a bygone era?
Yeah, I think now with the way information just there's a continuous flow of information now. So when it comes to bulletin board material, you have so many different outlets, so many different people saying different things. So I don't know if nowadays there is some particular like bulletin board material that can get guys pumped up. And I always look at bulletin board materials is how long is that going to last, right? You're there when the game is on the line, third, fourth quarter. Nobody's thinking about what was said throughout the week. And it's not, if it takes, if you have the guys and it takes bulletin board material to get them to play harder or to do their job better, then you probably got the wrong guys out there. We think for our guys, we have a great group of guys, great group of men who just love playing football, and it doesn't matter what anyone says on the outside. There's no bulletin board material to make us play better. Like, we want to be our best every time we step out on the field. So what's said, it really doesn't matter. So I think for now in this generation, it helps some guys, maybe no, but I feel like that's a bygone of past generation there.
Hey, DeMeco, obviously you worked with Fred a lot in your previous position. When you move over to coordinator and you've got new responsibilities and things, how beneficial has it been for you to have a guy who not only you've worked with but played the same position you played, who can kind of be your eyes and ears on the field? And how do you think that's grown as the season has gone on?
It's been great to have Fred. I know, training him from a rookie to where he is now. I know he knows the position. He knows the ins and outs of the position. He knows the techniques that I'm asking him to do. Now, it's just been awesome to work with him. We have a really great relationship, not on the field and off the field. So, I love Fred. Fred is the guy that really, he's the guy that gets our defense going. Without him, we couldn't do a lot of the things we do just because of the communication piece. It's huge. Being that guy in the middle, and he does an awesome job of communicating to the front guys, the D-line, and also to the back end guys. He ties everything together. He ties everyone together. So without him, I don't know if we wouldn't be in this position we're in now if it wasn't for Fred.
DeMeco, Jordan Willis had quite a game in Green Bay. What have you seen from him? Where is it? Not that we were expected that it's a surprise, but it seems like he's had a huge growth period leading up to that game.
Yeah, Jordan, he actually had a really great training camp. Yeah, I mean, he's one of our better guys in training camp, and it was just unfortunate that he had the suspension and he had to miss time. But Jordan has been doing this early on in training camp, so it's no surprise. It's just a matter of missing football for such an extended period of time. It's just a matter of getting back used to it, getting the muscle memory back, so to speak. So Jordan he's been continuously getting better and better and better each week. And I mean, what a game. Jordan won us that game because of the play that he made. And I'm so happy for him, the guy to be away from us for so long and to be here at this point in the playoffs and to come up with such a huge play for our team. Like, I couldn't be more excited for anyone than Jordan, man. It was just huge play on a huge stage. So I'm happy he's able to get the recognition and credit that he deserves for making a big play for us.
Following up on Nick's question, Fred told us that he had some words with the defense after that first drive in the Packers game. Do you count on him as the player on the field to do that?
Yeah, I do. He got to him before I can get to him. So I was happy to hear Fred, going up and down, talking to the defensive linemen, the linebackers, and the secondary. I was happy to hear him, just continue to encourage the guys and just tell them that they didn't do anything special, right? We just were not on point with our execution, our technique and fundamentals during that first drive, and we allowed them to go down the field. It seems like just easily, right? And he knows that's not how we play defense, and that wasn't us. So Fred did a great job of, snapping the guys back very quickly, and we needed that. And that's what leadership looks like. Fred's not demeaning anyone. It wasn't a pointing finger. It was an encouragement from their leader, and the guys responded, and they responded very well.
Hey, DeMeco, checking in from ABC 13 in Houston. You and Richard Hightower were on the Texans way back in the day. I think he was just a coaching assistant, maybe at the time. What do you remember about him back then, and where you guys both are now? Do you ever trade stories from back in the day?
Yeah, with me and Hightower, Coach Hightower, I think we came into the league together at the same time. He was helping defensive assistant there, and a story about Coach Hightower back then, we didn't have the communication on defense at the time, so all our calls had to be hand signaled in. So remember, me and Coach Hightower, we sat next to each other in the meetings, and we came up with all of the defensive signals together. So it's just so cool. Fast forward from 2006 to here now, and to see where he is and just his growth as a coach. And just his leadership style, the way he's able to lead our guys it's phenomenal to watch him work. Just the energy that he brings every day, I'm so happy for him, man. It's really cool to see, where he is now, and he's just a tremendous coach. And I'm happy that we have him here with the Niners because he's doing an excellent job for us.
Got time for two more, guys?
Hey, DeMeco, I don't know if you know this, but there's been a lot of kind of concern about your cornerback situation, throughout the year. Like, oh, this guy's not ready, he's going to get exposed or whatever. I know there's a lot that goes into having a good, secondary, pass rush and all that. But I just wanted to ask you about the fact that you've got Jimmy Ward and Jaquaski Tart and K'Wan Williams who've been in this system for so long, and they're such veterans. Their communication and everything, how key have they been to some of your, overall success?
Yeah, I think that was one of the most important things for me, getting this job as a defense coordinator, to be able to sign back free agents like Tart, K1, to get E-Man back. That was very vital because I knew the guys, they had a core understanding of a base of what I wanted to do defensively, and they had done it for such a long time, and they've done it together for a long time, so there wouldn't be a huge communication hurdle with those guys. And they played a lot of ball together. That's what's allowed us to, guys interchange. We've changed guys out at the corner position, but our safeties and KK at the nickel position, those guys have been, they've been a mainstay for us, I don't know, for at least 4 years. And it's probably the most ball that Tart and Jimmy has played together in a season. So it's just for them, to be healthy all throughout the year. That's allowed us to play the way we've played, because the safety position is the most important piece. They're the erasers. If anything, breaks loose, they're up front. Those guys can erase it. Just like Tart, man. I don't know if he's getting much recognition, but the play that he made for us in that Packer game, it's what our defense is all about. Like that effort play when the huge 70-yard pass broke out, to see Tart and his effort on that play, that's what our defense is all about. That's what we thrive on. Like having Tart back there to make that play. If we don't get that, who's to say we're in this position, that we're even here this week? And for Jimmy to come in and block that kick for us, it's not only on defense, but they're showing up on special team as well. Those guys are very vital to the success of our team.
Last one, Stacy, go ahead.
Hey, DeMeco, Stacey Dales, great to see you.
Hi, Stacey.
Fred said yesterday the way you're calling plays, like especially of late, is just unreal. And then he talked about you're calling plays, they're executing them in clutch moments, and there's a level of trust being built and developed between you and this defense. What is that level of trust?
Oh, it's Stacey, it's a level of trust that's just continued to grow throughout the year. I think there's a growth process with that trust, trusting that players are going to be in the position where they're supposed to be when you need them there most. And it's just grown throughout the season. And not only the level of trust with me, but I know that now our players trust each other, which is the most important aspect of playing defense. Guys have to trust each other. They have to know that everybody's going to execute their job flawlessly, and they're going to be where they're supposed to be, and they're going to play as hard as they can. They're going to do it as fast as they can. So that trust amongst the players, amongst the coaches, like it's all come to exactly where it need to be right at the right moment. And I'm just I call it, but it's not about the calls. It's about those guys just executing the calls. That's what matters most. It doesn't matter what I call. They bring any call to life, just the way they play. And I'm so proud to coach these guys with the way they go out and operate every day.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, we got Coach McDaniel here for you.
Hello, list of names. Oh, there you are.
Hey, Mike, regarding Debo, I mean, I realize he's not getting like 20 carries a game, but, playing running back in the NFL is not good for your career lifespan. And I'm just wondering, did you guys ever have to have like a conversation of, here's what could happen, here's what this might look like? I mean, not that you had to get him to sign off on it, I guess, but I guess in some ways, did you ever have the conversation to make sure he was up for what might be ahead?
Well, as we've talked about before, this is uncharted territory for both of all of us, the coaching staff and the player, and it's something that you kind of feel your way through. No, I mean, to be honest, Debo just wants the ball, and he wants to. He views himself as a leader of the team that and he's a competitive guy that really wants to win, and he thinks that he can help the team win every time he touches it. I think that one of the things that makes him great is how he's fearless, but he doesn't take huge hits all the time. I think that yes, running backs do take shots, but football players, if they play the right way, can take hits in a certain way that doesn't hurt them. I think he's built for it. And no, if you would have asked us before we had got to this point with Deebo Samuel, would it be smart to give a receiver, 8, 9, 10 carries a game, like we have the last couple weeks? Yeah, you'd probably get some resistance, but this is a different player. He's not a receiver. He's a football player at the receiver position who also can play running back, and we treat him as such. And he would have it no other way.
Mike, when you look back at Jimmy Garoppolo when he got here in 2017, how have you seen him evolve as a leader?
It's been it's been really cool in the whole process when you get new players, you get a small version of themselves, and over time, it's one of the things that makes team sports and particularly NFL football so special is you grow together and learn more about human beings. Like most people, you are your best self when you're your most confident. He's his most confident when has the most ownership, and he's been in big situations before. And Jimmy's really cool because what a lot of people wouldn't know is more than a lot of quarterbacks have been around, he is a football player at the quarterback position. I think, I don't know the exact details, but I know when he started playing football, he was a linebacker. And on game day, he has a fire about him that as he's more confident and he expects more of himself, guys feed off that, and then it's an organic. It's not, hey, come on, guys. It's more like, let's go, and guys respond to that. And it's been awesome to watch him through that process.
Hey, Mike, Kyle's talked a lot about how one of the important ingredients in building the team is just getting as many guys as possible who really love football. I'm curious, just from maybe a psychological perspective, when you get a bunch of guys like that as individuals and you put them into a group that forms a team, how does that manifest and help a football team on game days?
I'd say it's addicting. It really reminds you why you got in the business. I almost got chills right now you saying that, because there is you got a shared passion of a group of men that are relying on each other for a common goal. And when you love football, you feed off each other, and all of a sudden Wednesday's install isn't as hard. You're tired on a Thursday afternoon, and you look over and you see a teammate leaving it all out there, whether it's a player or a coach, just straining to be their best selves. It's impossible for it not to motivate you and push you through. And it really, this team in particular, win, lose, or draw every week. It's one of the most memorable teams of my career because we've gone through hardships, we've gone through successes, and we really work the same way every week, week in, week out. And I think it's critical to a team's success over the long term, because football is imperfect. Football is like life. It's about resiliency. It's not about if you're going to mess up. It's about when you do, how do you respond? And that's all this team does. And it's to credit of the organization to allow that to manifest. For an organization to have one vision, that's the only way that could happen. And then Coach Shanahan and John Lynch really emphasizing that, because you get what you emphasize, and if that's not an important part of your puzzle, that doesn't exist. And I think that's one of the reasons you see energy that's real week in, week out, not just in our wins, but when we lose. I don't think people are ever left like, wow, those guys didn't try this week. We play good football, we play bad football, but it's an enjoyable process, and you're willing to live with any of the results if everyone's shared in their commitment.
I think this question is somewhat related to that response, but I remember when Colton McKivitz was drafted, the front office saying that he got the rare gold helmet status before the draft. I'm just wondering whether you've kind of seen that manifest itself in him and how he's practiced and how he handled himself in that Week 18 game.
That's good intel. Are you in our draft room? Do you have a nanny cam? No, he. Yeah, I think you can really see that. Again, kind of like we were talking about Jimmy. You see, you don't rush to judgment.
you let people's personalities come out, and Colton's a little quieter, but super dry sense of humor, and very serious about the sport of football. And yeah, I think what you see is that if you're not, he had really good plays, he had some bad plays when he played, but the biggest thing is he stepped in for as good as a player that exists, and we weren't talking about him. We weren't all game. As an offensive lineman, it's kind of like referees at times. No news is good news, right? And for us to be able to operate and at a high level against, I'm just telling you, this is as good of a pass rush and a big of a challenge. You want to have a heart attack, go line up against all their pass rushers, and do it for the first time that you're playing all year. That's a tough task, and I think that gold helmet, that the person, the human being, you see what people are made of, what they've been doing behind closed doors, how they've been approaching their craft while they're on scout team. There's nowhere to hide in the game of football, and we saw, hey, he's been taking care of his business and growing the last time we played the Rams.
Kyle spoke to us a little bit about Trent Williams in motion behind the line and how scary he is when he's back there. Deebo Samuel is a guy who loves to have multiple positions. Trent Williams seems like he's very willing also to step up in different ways. What have you seen from him, and how scary is he back there when he's running in motion?
Have you ever been on the street when a car is driving at you? And I mean, yeah, it's scary. It's cool. Just because it doesn't exist. What you guys, I just haven't seen that. And there's not a man that moves that fast with that much power. And really, it's cool to watch how big he is and how fast he is. But when you watch that play specifically, he was, his assignment was to set the edge in the D gap right between the two tight ends, and there was like a sliver this big. And our tight ends and fullbacks have been doing that for a couple years now, and even they were like, this is his first rep. Wow. It tells you a lot about how slow the game is for him, and how talented he is at the game of football, not just being athletic. So it was a cool thing to be a part of. That's something, that's another reflection of how much our football team likes playing football. That when we first practiced that play on whatever it was, Thursday night last week, the defense is watching the scout team defense go, the starting defenses, and we ran the play for the first time, and there was probably a buzz for the next 5 plays. Like, wow. And that's a testament to, our football team in general and how they love to play football, which is why we all get excited to play, not because we absolutely can predict that we're going to win this, that, or whatever. No, because we know that what is better than collectively working through months of unforeseen circumstances. You don't know how it's going to end, but you do it together, and you know that everyone's fully committed to it. So guess what? On Sunday, the Rams are going to get a best shot. They're one of the best football teams in the world. But how fun is that to just say, okay, let's go give it our best shot, and we feel like we can play and beat anybody. But guess what? So do the Rams. So it's awesome to be a part of. It's it's the coolest thing in sports, and why the professional football and specifically the championship games are so cool.
We'll do a couple more, guys.
Mike, obviously, those guys down there, those coaches with the Rams, they know you. They know kind of how you go through the process, and with your successful plays, setting up other successful plays. So how far down that rabbit hole do you go of hey, this is what we've done the first 2 games. These are all the things we could do off of it, but they might be thinking along those lines too. Do you play that, that they know kind of game?
We know that they know that you know that we know. No, it's a good question because that it used to be a bigger deal, I think, to all of us on both sides. And we do know each other so well. We've both been on the side. We've been on the same side of the ball. People forget that the defensive coordinator, Raheem Morris, was a wide receiver coach in Atlanta under Kyle Shanahan, and I worked with him in the receiver room. So there's a lot of overlap, but you play enough games that you realize that you can talk yourself in and out and this way or that way. And really it's just about getting our players ready to play. And this game isn't about who's the smartest or who's got the best tricks up their sleeve. This is something that both teams have been preparing for the entire season. So it's about the players going out and playing together, and the third time you play a team and you're in the NFC Championship, it's a little easier than it used to be in our careers when we first were playing each other. Now it's a little old hat.
Matt Mayoko stole my good question, but this is what I can play off of it by asking you, when you guys are debating what plays to call, what's that communication like while you're up in the box and Kyle's down on the field, when you're in a dilemma and you're trying to predict how the defense is going to go? What kind of communication is there between you two? And then specifically during that timeout before Debo's third down run before the field goal, did you weigh in on that with Kyle as well?
No, one of the best parts of working for Kyle for so long is it's twofold. He expects good information from me. He expects that if I tell him something that I've done, that it is the most informed information that I could possibly have. But he also knows, and this is something that he's very candid about, that hey, whatever your suggestion is, ultimately I'm saying the play to the quarterback and I'm responsible for the outcome. So it's like it's awesome working relationship that's very healthy in that way, because he knows my intentions just like any other coach on the staff when they're suggesting something. And then you're also trying to just help the team and collectively make the right decision. He's responsible for every single play call. And guess what? After the game, he's answering to you guys about why'd you do that. And never once has he, I think, ever said, well, yeah, this is Mike's stupid idea. But some of them were, but that's awesome leadership. That it's one of the reasons guys enjoy working here and working for him. Generally the play calls that work, I only try to suggest plays that work. No, that again, we're talking about stuff, but it is his play call, but he looks at it as his, and I look at it like, hey, I better be right because I know that he's trusting me whenever I do suggest something. All of which are just a communal. We're just trying to win a game, and whoever makes the suggestion, it doesn't matter. It's just hard. This business it's a hard sport. Not fun when you lose. Really fun when you win. No gray. So we're just trying to win games and doing whatever it takes. And Kyle's the best play caller I think that exists, and it's awesome to work for.
Thank you, Coach.
That was easy.